All right, my friends, welcome to One Sober to Another. I'm Wayne, and this is Sunday Night Live. I jumped on a little bit earlier to make sure everybody could hear me and to make sure that you guys are having an awesome Sunday. Now I'm doing this outside because of twofold, really. Because when I was drinking all the time, I used to stay indoors and I had no ambition of going anywhere else if it didn't involve alcohol. So therefore, on this spring day, I'm outside. My son and his girlfriend are downstairs. They're having a fire. My wife is in the living room, I think. And it's just a great day to be outdoors. And I hope that you're having a nice Sunday. Today's topic, because I am a little bit earlier, and before I even start on it, it's going to be viewer driven. That means whatever you guys have on your mind in relation to forgiving yourselves, we're going to talk about that. We're going to dive into exactly what is on your mind as opposed to what is on my mind, because I talk all the time. Now, it's great to be back on Sunday Night Live because I had foregone it for about 4 weeks. Had a lot of life going on, and I'm just jumping back into it, folks. So, where's everybody from tonight? Where are you from? Or tonight my time here in Europe, but I'm pretty sure in the States it's either noon or earlier. So, depending on where you're from, what's your name? What would you like to be called? I got that right there on the screen. And today's live stream is all about forgiving yourself, and what does that actually look like? What does that look like for you? And I'll tell you what it looked like for me in small context, but more importantly, how is it shaping your world and what it means to forgive yourself for either things you did or didn't do, or things that happened while you were drinking or using, or just in life in general, because nobody's perfect deck on it. And learning how to forgive yourself is not only instrumental into personal growth, but is instrumental in the way we conduct ourselves. Now, a couple questions for you, my friends, while you're here. How does this mic sound today? Because I'm trying it out on the live stream, and I hope that it's a little bit better than the one I was using, because the one I was using was about that big, and it had a little bit of range, but I'm not sure it got the job done. Also, let me know in the comments if this live stream is actually coming through without any chops, because that's what I'm aiming for. Now, where I live, a little backdrop is in a little village in Germany, and our bandwidth here is not exactly awesome. So the last couple live streams I did just dropped the heck off. I'm just filling these next 3 minutes with some admin time because, why not? So I see a couple people there checking it out. Just let me know, if you would, please. How's this video coming through, and how does this mic sound today? Steve Aitchison, it is great to see you, my friend. And guess what? I'm not sweating that small stuff. And that's one of them lessons in sobriety. Not in sobriety alone does it apply, but into our lives in general. Now, I can talk for a long time. Eli, what is going on? It is great to see you as well. And I'm glad this video is coming through clear. And I'm actually doing myself like a double cheating method, checking that out on my iPad to just see how that live stream is. You know what I actually look like? I'm on television and whatnot. But anyway, so I'm gonna put this away because I can see pretty good. I got my reading glasses on, so that's an A+ for effort. We do have 2 minutes of admin time, so to speak. And what is going on, Steve Aitchison and Eli? How is life treating you guys? And whomever else is giving it a look. If you don't already know, it's going across the ticker right about, I can't really do that one, but somewhere right there on the bottom. And it says that, you know what? Today's video is all about, or live stream is all about self-forgiveness. Finland, hi from Finland. Video quality is fine. Hi from Finland. I love an alcoholic. I have seen you in the comments. I appreciate that you watch, and I appreciate, more importantly, that you drop thoughts of your own and you have incredible insight. And I thank you for being a part of tonight's live stream, because we are shooting on this nice spring day. It's a little windy, but it's not bad at all. If this microphone stand becomes a distraction, just let me know. But you know, like they say, don't sweat the small stuff. Got the UK, got Finland, we got Steve. Who else we got up in there? Man, you know what? I actually miss these Sunday Night Lives. And the reason I miss them is because it rejuvenates me and it repurposes me, and it helps to point me in the direction that I need to travel, so to speak, because sometimes we get wrapped up in it and we just plain old just get caught in our routine and forget that driving with a purpose not only gives you motivation and inspiration, but allows you to see the successes of other people instead of yourself. And I think that's absolutely amazing. I think that personal growth and individual growth is huge, and it's a lot that is lacking. I don't know. Tell me what you think in them daggone comments. But so self-forgiveness, right? It took me, and I'm gonna try to lower this a little bit. It took me a long time. It took me a long time to learn self-forgiveness. It took me a long time to remember that when I'm forgiving myself, I'm not exactly just letting go of accountability, because that would be totally besides the point. In my opinion, now, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a psychiatrist or anything like that. Second Chance Recovery just dropped a post. You guys go check that out. He's an amazing guy. I was hoping to have him on tonight. I think my lack of communication probably, made that not a reality, but hopefully we can catch up soon. But where was I going? I was going with, self-forgiveness doesn't mean just letting go of your part in things. And it doesn't mean that you're at fault at everything at the same time. And if you dig that, if you know what I mean by that, put your comments in there, because someone who jumps in here is going to start reading these comments and they're going to say, I wonder what this live stream is about and how can it be beneficial to me? So I did a lot of, in my active alcoholism, I did a lot of things that weren't exactly savory. And I did a lot of things that the normal person would be like, what the heck are you doing, man? Why would you do that? Why would you do that? Why would you embarrass somebody like that? Or what made you sleep under a tank, my man? But there's a lot of things that go into how I learned to forgive myself for the things that happened within my alcoholism. Again, I want to stress, it's not letting go of the accountability. And the last reminder before I drive on from that, in the ticker on the bottom, it says that today's video or today's live stream is strictly viewer driven. So whatever you guys have on your mind and thoughts to this, or whatever is aching you, or whatever is just piquing your interest as far as self-forgiveness or anything that is relevant for that matter, just throw it in the comments and we'll talk about it. So when I learned to self-forgive, at first it seemed like, why do I deserve to be forgiven? Why do I deserve a second chance at this? Why do I deserve to be sober and not die? Because a lot of the things that I did made me feel like I should. And a lot of things that occurred when I drank always made me feel like, you know what, you're not good enough, man. You're not being a good father. You're not being a good husband. You're not doing the things that you're supposed to do in order to drive your career forward. And I wish my little ticker was moving, but all right, hang on. So all these things that I should be doing, I wasn't doing, and it made me feel like that I didn't deserve forgiveness. And I might say this wrong, Aramite. Hey, Aramite, I'm gonna get there real quick. I'm gonna just finish this thought and then we're coming right back to that, okay? I'm not blowing you off. So So I had felt like, I deserved the things that were happening to me. And a lot of us can relate to that. And you right now can maybe relate to that. But I'm going to tell you what, man, if you're able to grab a hold of your part in things and you're able to digest your accountability, or rather be accountable for what it is that you did or did not, and be able to put that into a box of, yes, this happened. Yes, this is what I did or didn't. This is what I can do in the future. This is how I'm able to make amends for the things that I've done. Now, that's a double-edged sword, my friends. And I've said this before, seeking forgiveness doesn't always come easy because a lot of folks won't forgive you. Tenavasa. So happy to see you here. Netherlands, glad you're here. And I'm glad you're here, Eremite. And I'm coming to your comment in just a moment because it is very important. Step 4, that's absolutely right. And if you are an AAer that relates to you, and if you're not, just try to understand what I'm saying as I get kind of wrapped around the axle here, is that, once you're able to grab your part in things, and step 4 is doing a moral inventory, folks, you are able to put it into context and use it in the future as a lesson to what to do better. Makes sense like 2 nickels? I know I just jumbled that up, but we're going to jump right into Eremite real quick because I think this comment needs attention. I keep relapsing. About a month of sobriety, I get these anger, frustration fits, then boom, back to the bottle on a 4-day binge. At least my binges aren't for weeks like they used to be, but still, you know what, Eremite? I get that. Anger was one of the biggest catalysts, and I'm going to tell you real quick before I go into that. Eremite, we are here to help you, my friend, and we're here to help each other, and we're here to share our experience, strength, and hope, so to speak. That's the adage, and we're here to give it to you, my friend. So if you feel like what we say here is not helpful, just drop a message and let us know, and we will try our best to address what it is that is really on your mind. So you write that you keep getting fits of anger and frustration. As I was saying, anger was one of the giant catalysts of my alcoholism. It drove everything. It drove every action that I took. And I was able to use anger at other people, and I was able to blame other people for the anger that I had, and I was able to make everything someone else's fault. I think that's called gaslighting. And but I would get so pent up, and I would hold these thoughts in. If I wasn't like bashing somebody else, I would hold these thoughts in until they bottled up, so to speak, and they just came out in not only pure rage, but internal rage. And I did exactly what you did. I went on binges, and binges are detriment, my man or woman. They are, you can do some real damage in a binge, and you can do something to yourself and not know what happened that you don't come back from. And that goes with any relapse. That goes with any amount of alcohol that is not considered normal. I mean, you run a risk. But what I'm saying is that, a 4-day binge, that's a rough spot to be in, because I can imagine how much you're drinking. For me, my binges were like ongoing. And when I did have a binge in a short fit of anger, man, it really was like, I think, a weekend bender. And I'm not gonna tell you guys this for you to be like, oh my God, or compete with me, but I am gonna say that a weekend binge probably consisted of 150 or more beers, and that's not an exaggeration, and that's not a trophy either. But that's what it is. That's what it was for me, and that's That was the reality of how I was, I don't know, taking that self abuse and beating myself up and, you know, hoping that I come back from it. And for what? Just to do it again? So I understand how that cycle goes. And Tennessee Vasa, she wrote, or he, one of my last benders, I destroyed half my apartment. And when I woke up after day 3, man, it sucks. You are daggone right. Nobody likes blacking out. Nobody likes these benders that we go on, and nobody likes, well, I mean, I kind of did at the time. That was because I thought I was, in control of it, but I really wasn't. And, I get that, waking up and not knowing what the hell happened, going through the Rolodex of, who do I have to call and make amends to and all this other madness. Eli writes, Wayne, do you think that part of self-forgiveness is making amends to people for things we said or did while using? I do think that, Eli. I do think that self-forgiveness and forgiveness of others, or forgiveness from others through amends, is a huge part of self-forgiveness as a whole. Because while we think of it, if we are going through this inventory of things that is our part in our active alcoholism or addiction, the harm that we caused, there's a certain ladder that has to go along with that. And we have to be willing to go to other folks who we harmed and tell them, hey, Aramite, appreciate you being here from Canada, man. I hope that helped, or woman. And I hope I said your name right. If not, do that little parentheses thing and spell that there so I can get it right. But yeah, so being able to, acknowledge and tell somebody exactly what you're sorry for, so to speak. Be able to tell them exactly what you did wrong. Be able to tell them exactly why you're asking for forgiveness. And kind of closing the loop on that, so to speak. Not forgetting and not dismissing at all. I'm learning that civilian lingo, so you know what I mean. But yeah, so it does. You guys have been... Okay, so we got one from Steve, and I'm not glossing over any of these comments, my friends. I'm just trying to hit the topics that you think, or rather that are on your mind. So, Steve writes, you guys have given your liver a rest by binging and abstaining. I have drank can after can constantly for 12 years, less than 3 weeks break at a time. It's not a competition. Damage is damage, my friend. I can tell you certainly, I did more damage to my body in a binge. Now, okay, chronically, it will definitely get really bad. The acute damage that you do, however, and again, I'm not a doctor, is so volatile. I mean, literally, that you could do a lot of harm through your esophagus, your intestines, the valves underneath of your stomach, the valves above your stomach, your gums, your teeth. There's a lot of damage that alcohol does, period. So, I mean, I'm not sure if we're comparing apples to oranges here, but, and I'm not disagreeing with you either. I mean, your opinion is, rather, what you think is what you think. And again, I'm not dismissing, just acknowledging. Compiling, Steve. Alcohol and drugs. I can't say that I was both. I can't say that for 23 years I did cocaine, and for 23 years I drank, and for 23 years I did this or that. But let's put that into a nutshell, shall we? As it relates to self-forgiveness, there were a lot of things that I know for me anyway that went on that I can't take back. I can't undo. So there's only a few things I can do with that. And where I go with this is me, self forgiveness is I can easily just shelf and dismiss all the things that I did while I was drinking. I mean, I could. But is that helpful in my personal growth? Is that helpful in your personal growth? Or any of us for that matter? It's not, because that is still going to be this, I don't know, trail of wreckage, so to speak, that we left behind us that nobody's going to clean up. It's just going to sit on the ground and fester and mold, and it's always going to be there. And what comes with that, my friends, is I can attest to this firsthand, and maybe you understand this too. You know, my wife, she still doesn't acknowledge a lot of work that I've put in order to stay sober, and she doesn't actually like when I talk about her, so I'm just going to keep this short. And deservedly so that she doesn't acknowledge it, because I did a lot of things to her. I did a lot of things emotionally. I did a lot of things financially that just broke her down. And, you know, I can't just dismiss that. I can't just dismiss those actions, because those resentments will forever be harbored. If that makes sense to you, drop that in the comment below, because that's as real as it actually gets, is that, you know, there's a lot more to it than just forgiving yourself. And I actually want to know your comment on this. I kind of stumped a chump on myself, and you know, that hits a nerve, because there are things that we can do to make tomorrow a little bit better, as well as make ourselves better through self-forgiveness and forgiveness of others. But it's not an easy thing, because the average human will hold on to these resentments with everything they have until the day they die. And who does that help? Absolutely nobody, my friends. Eli, Steve, I love the conversation. Keep that going. Now, Eli, just going to address this elephant in the room. I want to keep drinking. That's why I control it. Look, I thought the same thing for a couple decades, is that I controlled my alcohol. I thought that was the one thing in my life that I had full control over, and I decided when I drank, what I drank, who I drank with, and how I drank. Truth of the matter is, man, and you may not agree with this, and that's okay, because that's what we're here for, is to have a conversation with each other, and having these tough conversations is what makes growth. But I didn't control my alcohol. My alcohol controlled every single aspect of my life, and it controlled every decision I made, and it was every motivation that I had, and it was always an ulterior motivation to what I did. I'm not saying you're wrong, Steve, at all. But I will say that wasn't my case. And Steve, I'm so glad you're here, and Eremite as well. If you guys need anything from me, just let me know. Hit me up. I'm not going to give you a wad of cash, but I will point you in the right direction. You know what I mean? All right, let's see here. What else we got? Definitely not glossing over. Definitely not for dismissing you guys. We just got to, you know, kind of jump on everything. All right. So let's see. Tenabasa. Oh, by the way, can you guys hear that awesome, like, non-copyrighted music that I have in the background? Because that's all I can get without getting a strike. I'm going to read this comment from Tenabasa. Yep, my drinking goes back to when I lived with my parents at my parents' place, blacking out 3 days without them knowing at all what's going on, till my dad came in one time. We stood eye to eye and almost fought. I'm gonna tell you something. You know what, Ermine, I'm sure a lot of us can relate to that. I'm gonna tell you a quick segue here. It's it's actually irony or contradiction in terms, rather. Um, Hypocrisy, really. So I had my little brother living with me, and we were in, I think, New Jersey at the time. I was an Army recruiter, and he decided he was going to come live with me, and I decided somehow in my drunken circus that I was going to be able to take care of him and point him in the right path and get him motivated to go do good things. Well, you know what? I did not buy him food. I did not buy him any kind of clothing or anything like that because he was grown. But I did say, if you want to buy a 6-pack and drink with me, you can do that. I'll buy that. But I wouldn't buy him food. That is, and one day he went and got a job, and he came home every day, and oh, cool, man, you like the music? Yeah, me too. That's all I could get. But he came home, and he would always say, oh, what a rough day. I'd be like, oh man, you had a long one? He'd be like, yeah. And so this went on for like, I don't know, a couple of weeks. And I kept noticing not a paycheck was coming in. I said, what is going on, my friend? I said, you're going to work, right? And he was like, yeah. And so I stopped by where I got him a job. And the person there was like, he hasn't been here at all. He has never worked here. After we gave him the pants, he just never came back. So he literally was going somewhere all day long. And thank God, folks, he's getting his life back on track. But he was going somewhere all day long, coming back, and then saying, man, what a long day. And so I had an eye-to-eye with him one time, and he was drinking. I was like, yo, bro, what you doing, man? You need to get up out of here. And anyway, that just reminded me of that. And I just wanted to put that out there, Tenavasa. I can relate to that. Yeah. His day was long, ready to get back home. Hey, I'm sorry, I'm no comedian. I'm just doing the daggone thing. All right, so I guess what? My little cheat sheet here is actually quite amazing. So I'm glad I actually brought this because I can see these comments as they feed on my phone. I can't see them as well. So that's actually a good one. Let me ask you about that. So sometimes I'm just bored, so I decide to have a party with myself and some booze. Next day, I don't remember that party. Now let me ask you, depending on what goes on at that party, and this question could be broadened into any one of your lives to include my own. Depending on what goes on at that party, and if there's something that you can't quite go back from, or that Rolodex that you have to spin out of control to make sure that you either call, text, or email people to find out what happened, there are some things in there that will come to surface later on. Are you willing to self-forgive yourself if that comes up? And are you willing to seek forgiveness if there was anybody at that party that didn't have quite the good time you did? Think about that. I'm going to let that music jive for a second, and I'm going to read through a couple more comments, my friends. And I appreciate everybody who's here right now. And I appreciate everybody here who has decided to subscribe to the channel because, I don't know, I'm just one sober person talking to another person trying to do the daggone thing. If you haven't, consider subscribing. All right, that's enough with that. Hey, enjoy the house cleaning, man. Oh, sorry about that. It was Ermite that wrote that comment. Okay, so good. So nobody got hurt. Now, that wasn't like a direct question. I wasn't trying to put anybody on the spot about that because that's definitely not what I'm trying to do here. But what I mean is, if you haven't, actually, I have to break this down a little personal. So we're 30 minutes into this, folks. We gotta, you know, I'm on your time. It is sunny where I am. It's like noon right now. It's actually not quite bad, is it? Um, so I used to table my wife up. What I mean with that is I used to get her drunk all the time so that she would drink with me. And a lot of you here know that. And I had done that for years. I would wait till she comes home. I'd make sure her favorite drink was ready and she was ready to drink with me so that she couldn't tell me not to. Because that was kind of the game, man. That was kind of the motivation. That was kind of the way that I set it all up. But there came a point, I don't know, I think it was about 6 months later, there came a point where she was kind of done with drinking, and she's like, no, man, this is not part of my life. This is not what I signed up for. This is not why I married you. And so she just kind of stopped, and I just kind of kept going. Now, I didn't realize that, she had kind of felt like that the only reason I was with her is so that I could drink. And so that I could drink on my own, away from the army barracks and away from all the eyes on and everything else. And she felt that the only reason that I wanted to stay with her is to keep drinking, that she would keep financing my problems. She would keep financing my life. She would finance, all the trouble I got into. And she was right. So that was the party that I was throwing myself for about, 10 years, 15 years. And I stayed stuck in that, just causing mess after mess, going delinquent on everything. And pretty much we were fighting at a negative bank account every payday just to see who got it first. Now, I could have easily took that action and I could have dismissed it, and I could have said, well, I was an alcoholic at the time, so it doesn't count. I was an alcoholic at the time, so I don't really have to ask forgiveness. I was an alcoholic at the time, so I don't deserve self-forgiveness because I was just a hot mess. You see how that kind of rolls together? So as I thought about it through many counseling sessions, as I thought about it through a lot of therapy, and I'm looking off in a way because I'm just trying to stay out of the sun here, but keep you in it. And so as I, had phone call after phone call with my son, and life started to develop after I got sober, it was real easy for me to say all this stuff happened just because I'm drinking. Steve, where you going, bro? Okay, man, have a good day. And if you need anything, Steve, let me know, okay? All right, so, and I could easily just dismiss all this under the cloud that I was an alcoholic, and that it's just a disease, and it's just the way I was. But you don't stay sober by not doing anything. Sober or faith without works is dead, so to speak. And that's the way that adage goes, is faith without works is dead. So if I'm trying to get better and I'm trying to improve myself, is that going to work? And I'm just going to throw a comment up on the screen. Is that going to work if I don't seek forgiveness from those I've harmed? Not at all, because that resentment is forever going to be embedded in her brain. That doubt is always going to be there. The lack of trust will always exist if I'm not able to prove, or rather prove through action, that I have made changes that make sense for her to stay with me. I'm going to put this up. Boom. So there's a comment on the screen, right? I like this comment. And if you like what I just told you, rather, If you understand what I just told you, put that in the comments below, because someone reading now or later is going to say, I'm in the same boat. My mate doesn't trust me. My spouse doesn't trust me. And I'm trying to do better. I got sober. I stopped drinking, but it just won't change. That is a little tidbit for you, my friends. All right. So Eli Love writes, Wayne, that makes a lot of sense to me. It takes a lot of integrity for us to take responsibility for the things we did while using, even though we were basically completely different people while using. And that's absolutely right. And I'm going to leave that up there just for a moment for you guys to digest. And while my son is making me some meats on the grill, because he's like Chef Boyardee right now, I appreciate him. And they look good. All right. So anyway, back to that subject at hand. So it does take a lot of responsibility, and that takes a long time to learn. Responsibility and accountability. Well, if you were an alcoholic or an addict like me, then that is like super hard to understand and comprehend. I got to be responsible now. I got to do this. I got to, buy a balcony. I have to ensure that there's food in the house first. I have to ensure that the cars run. I have to do all these things. I can't just get drunk. Yes. And I have to be responsible and accountable for what I did and didn't do. Like I said in the whole beginning of this thing is that, if you're not responsible for anything, then what are you? You're just kind of waving in the breeze, hoping for the best. And that doesn't serve anybody any good purpose. And that definitely doesn't serve you any good purpose, especially, my friends, if you're trying to get sober or stay sober. Sorry, I'm stumbling over my words. I get a little bit nervous, like talking around people, believe it or not. But I do what I do. All right, so I love an alcoholic. Hey, thanks for chiming in. I also grew out of drinking, but couldn't quit without outside help. That's why it was a problem for me. You know what? I love that too. Let's go to that one. I'm going to throw that up on the screen if that's okay. I love an alcoholic. All right, so check it out. I wanted to quit on my own in 2014. That's when I went to rehab. And I love an alcoholic. I'm so glad that you are able to live. If you're living sober now, that you got help that you needed. And support is key, my friends. And being able to self-forgive yourself enough to seek support and help is paramount. I'm telling you. So what happened for me was, quick story. Real quick, I promise. So 2014, I went to rehab. And then when I came out of rehab, you have to stay, and I said this in a video the other day, you have to stay sober for 1 year. You can't drink and blah, blah, blah. Well, long story short, I did drink, and I drank the whole time during it, and I drank 2 days after rehab. A counselor was my saving grace, and I tell you what, she definitely did not have to bend over backwards for me, because it almost cost her job. I was supposed to be kicked out of that program 3 times, my friends. And she fought every time for me to stay, to the point where they were considering letting her find a new place to work. If it wasn't for her genuine compassion for the human condition and genuine compassion for someone else other than her, then I would be sitting here, friends. And that's no poopy cocks, but it is what it is. Poo Man Poo, thanks for checking it out. But it's not right. So what's not right? I actually want to hear that. Eli writes, same, I can relate to what everyone's been saying. I need some sort of external source to help me in my addiction. Couldn't do it on my own. My friend, please, if you would, check out my friend, Second Chance Recovery. I'm going to try to put that in the description of this live stream, because he is actually, I think he's partnered with an addiction treatment facility, and I think that would be very beneficial for you. definitely give it a look, okay? I'm actually going to put that on there. So we'll swap that out. I love that feature, guys. All right. So, Fu Man Poo, hit me up if you don't mind dropping in the comments what you actually mean by that, because I would love to hear what you're talking about. Oh, you got it, Eli. Anytime, and just let me know. Just tell them Wayne asked you to give him a shout. So, so we are coming to an end here, and I do hope that we were able to talk a little productively about self-forgiveness, seeking forgiveness, and about what that means for you in your life, in your journey, in your story, and in your recovery. Wow, that was like a sign off. Too early. Anyway, so it is fantastic out here, and I am so grateful to be a part of your guys' day, and I'm so grateful to be here in this place where I'm sitting in my life, because I'm telling you, 8 years ago, I wasn't so sure it was going to happen, and that's the reason why I do this channel, folks, is because, I have this moment. And that's where I want you guys to live, in this moment, not any other, not in the past, and not 10 years from now. Just today, just 24 hours, guys. Life is a garden. Oh, wait, watch out. Okay, real quick. Fu Man Poo. I'm in Germany, so it is 1834 right now. So I thank you actually for putting that in there. If anybody wants to tune into the live stream in the near future, I'm trying to do it every Sunday, man. I'm trying my best. Next Sunday I'll be in flight, so I don't know if I'll be able to do it. But it is right now at this time, 1836 in the evening in Germany. So if you're on the East Coast, that is going to be 6 hours before, and if you're further west, just take hours off. Unfortunately, that's where I'm able to do it. So, and then Tenavasa up in the Netherlands says it's 1736. And he's cleaning. So apparently, I have a good voice for cleaning and doing housework. I think that's awesome. I was voted Voice of the Academy at the NCO Academy when I was an instructor. I don't know if that hell's true or they were just making fun of me. One or the other, whatever. All right, guys. So I do have to go. I do have to get my wife the balcony back because she likes sitting out here, and I appreciate you more than you could possibly know. If any of you need anything from me, anything at all that I can help with except a fistful of cash, hit me up at onesobertoanother@gmail.com, or just drop it in the comments and I'll be sure to get back to you. Now, last part of this, I don't respond to many comments, and why? And thank you, Tenabasa, for being here. Thank you, Eli, for being here. I don't answer a lot of comments because I'd like to leave that open for you guys to grow together. And if you need me, please let me know. I'll see you in the next one. Stay strong, everybody. Thanks for that, Eli. See you later. Now I'm going to do this weird, grab the end button. And I hope you guys had a good night.